Hello, Mavericks. How's it going? This is Rob Reinhold. It is July 5th. Hopefully everyone had a great either Canada Day for our Canadian traders or 4th of July for our US traders. But we are back to work, so let's take a look at these markets. Today was a big reversal day in equities. So we saw the equity markets open down about 2% and they roared back and closed positive or flat. That's actually a really big deal, 2%. That's a 2% move today. A zero on the day is a lot better than a negative 2% like we were looking at in the morning. Now take a look at the other asset classes. We saw oil get crushed, gold get crushed, big moves in those markets. We're seeing lots of deflationary things happen. Now we've only been talking about inflation for the last year, and all of a sudden we're starting to see some deflation. We did hear from the RBA last night, and they did hike rates by 50 basis points as expected. So let's go ahead and take a look at the equity market charts, and let's go through and find some support resistance areas. Now I want you to take a look at these last two candles. These last two candles, they were gap downs, and they had weakness somewhere during the day, and then they roared back and closed at their highs. This is definitely some bottoming action. If you take a look at the candles we had just a few weeks ago, you'll see the same thing. We got some bottoming action, and then we got one or two big green candles up before we fizzled out. I would not be surprised at all if we get a replay of that. We come over here to the VT. The VT was down today, but again, a big green candle. We gapped lower, and we came up, and we closed at the high. So we've closed at the highs 2 of the last 3 days. We haven't really gone anywhere, but the buyers are there. The big question is, are we going to get that release of animal spirits where they take off and run? We'll just have to wait and see. Coming over here to cryptos, we've been very bearish cryptos, but you can see that we did make a little short-term bottom there. This candle was an ugly candle at one point during the day. At one point during the day, it was down big and it recovered to where it was basically flat. Nothing positive here about crypto other than it has stopped falling for the moment. So if we take a look at what we have for the rest of the week, we were at a +1 in equity. We thought we were going to have a slight risk-on attitude in the equity markets. So +1 I think is still the right place to be until we get that explosion. Who knows if we'll get it, but I think this is setting up for a nice pop in the equity markets over the next 2 days, and then I think it fizzles out after that because we are still in a bear market. Let's take a look at the schedule here. So not a whole lot left on the schedule until Friday. So Friday, we will be meeting live for the U.S. payrolls report, and we will be sending out a preview for the U.S. payrolls report on Thursday to get us ready for that one. So let's go ahead and take a look at all the currencies and rank them from strongest to weakest. This was our velocity board on our weekend currency room, where we liked yen long, we liked CAD long, and we liked dollar long. On the short side, we liked Aussie short, especially after that RBA announcement, which it actually ended up being a decent short. Well, not a great short, but still made some money. Swiss franc was showing some weakness, and the pound was showing weakness. So let's take a look at what actually happened here. We take a look at the cryptos. Cryptos over the last 48 hours has been a mixed bag. Bitcoin is up, everything else is down. Ethereum basically flat. We come over here to the foreign currencies. You can see that the dollar and the yen did well. So we liked CAD, dollar, and yen over the weekend. You can see CAD did not perform like we expected. However, dollar and yen did perform very well. The currencies we liked on the short side were things like the pound and the Aussie, and they did go down. The big surprise was the euro finally decided to move. The euro has been basically at a zero for weeks and weeks, hasn't done anything, and the euro was very, very weak over the last 2 days. So we are starting to see some movement in the Eurozone. So let's take a look at all the charts individually. I'm not going to spend any time here looking at the cryptos. We are waiting for the cryptos to bottom out and get an actual rise, not just little bounces here or there. So let's start off with the US dollar basket. So this is the dollar equally weighted against 7 other currencies, and the dollar has been very strong. So we are here looking at a 4-hour chart, and you can see that we are in a clear uptrend on the 4-hour chart. Everything's moving higher. Our 13-period EMA is sloping higher. It's bullish on the parabolic SAR. Look, the RSI isn't quite bullish right here, right now. It was bullish throughout most of the day. We've backed off here. So the dollar is at a +2. The dollar is looking really good here. Let's switch over to the yen. The yen was also one of our currencies we liked on the long side. And you can see over the last 24 hours, it has had a very, very nice run. So we had a nice run. We made a new high. However, we are getting a pullback here. There's no question that both the dollar and the yen have had a big run, expended a lot of energy. They're probably going to come back in a little bit. So I don't think you can take a look at dollar or yen long over the next 24 to 48 hours. Let's check in on Swiss franc. Swiss franc has also been a pretty decent currency. And you can see lots of strength last week. And then we've just fizzled out. We haven't really gone down all that much. Definitely have lost some energy here. So for me, Swiss franc is a 0. It's a 0 at this point. Now, I mentioned the euro decided to really move today, and it did. If we take a look at euro over the last couple of months, you can see we haven't really gone anywhere. But we are starting to see some points where it's actually changing quite a bit, to where we were in this area, this range here, and now we're breaking down the bottom of that range. And you can see that we've got some support, some really major support down lower. It looks like it wants to come touch that point. So right here, right now, when I look at euro, it's got probably the most momentum to the downside. We just had a big fall. We would love to be able to get short euro on a bounce or a base. So not here, right now, but euro looks shortable over the next 24 to 48 hours. Over to the pound. The pound was a currency that we liked short. And you can see over the past 24 hours, it's been a really good short. So great job to the traders out there who have been short pound. I'm going to say the same thing here. We've got all the momentum going to the downside, just like the euro. We think there's likely to be a bounce around this area. We've got some support over here. So we think there's going to be a bounce. We would love to short into this bounce. So pound short looks good as well. Let's check in on the CAD. CAD was supposed to be a lot stronger, and it turned over. It really turned over here. So the big question is, whenever you see a move in a currency, the question is continuation or reversal. Was this just a pullback from a new swing high, and then once it bounces, it's going to make a new swing high? We don't know. That's the question. Continuation or reversal. Is this selling going to continue over the next 24 hours, or are we going to get a bounce here? I've got the CAD on the stronger watch list, so I am definitely looking for this for a bounce, but I need it to bounce here. It needs to show me it's going to bounce here, and then I can start to take a look at some possible CAD long setups. Moving over to the Aussie. RBA came through last night with an expected 50 basis point raise, and the Aussie sold off on the news. Now, this was the move we were expecting after the RBA announcement, but look, it didn't go all that far. So the Aussie lost about 0.7, 0.8% after that, and then it found a bottom. So the fact that it didn't just fall apart, like we've seen a lot of other currencies do after their central banks have this news announcement, I think that the Aussie is a 0 here. As you can see here, it's flat. It's basically flat, not going anywhere. If we take a look at the Kiwi, we also see that it is mostly flat. But the big question is this setting up for a trend change here? We had a big sell-off in most of June in the Kiwi. Now we just made this double bottom down here. If this can break up above this 69.70 area, this is definitely going to be a good buy here on Kiwi. So it's not ready yet. It's still to 0 or maybe at a +1, but I'm really keeping an eye on the Kiwi this week on like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If it can poke its head up above that resistance, I'm looking for this as a major reversal trend change, and I definitely want to be long Kiwi. But until then, I really can't do anything on Kiwi. So here's how all the currencies have moved here. So we got to take a look at this CAD and move it down. The CAD was supposed to be better than this, and it was disappointing, so we're putting CAD in the penalty box at a -2. Dollar really strengthened over the last 24 to 48 hours. Now, we do think that both the dollar and the yen are in the midst of a pullback. So while they're a +2 right now, we definitely don't want to be long dollar or yen over the next 6 to 12 hours. We want to let these things pull back, and we'll take a look at a trade then. Euro and Swiss franc basically changed places. Euro looking weak, Swiss franc looking more neutral. And then we get the Aussie Kiwi strengthened a bit. So taking a look over the next 24 hours, this is not an easy trading setup because our dollar yen that is showing strength here, we think they are going to be pulling back. So we're not interested in taking longs in dollar or yen over the next 6 to 12 hours. So that really comes down to the Kiwi as our strongest one, but it's not really all that strong. So let's take a look at some pairs like Euro Kiwi, Pound Kiwi, and CAD Kiwi, and see if we can find something over the next 24 hours. Now remember, you don't have to make a trade over the next 24 hours. You can sit back and wait for better trade setups, which I think is probably the better thing to do this week. I'm going to pair up what currency is currently the weakest, which is the euro, and I'm going to pair it up against the currency I want to be long the most, which is the Kiwi. Now this is the Euro-Kiwi cross, and you can see that we've been in a nice uptrend, meaning the euro has been stronger than the Kiwi, and we definitely have had a change in direction. We've had the change in this direction, and it really has been a long time in the making here. So really from June, all of June, the euro appreciated quite a bit against the Kiwi, mostly because the Kiwi was so weak. You can see here that we are seeing a major trend change here in Euro-Kiwi. I really like this trade setup. The big question is when? Over the last 16 hours, we've moved down from 168 down to 166. That's a 200 pip move. We are definitely going to be expecting there to be a little bounce back or a base, but we like this trade right in here. It's just not ready right here, right now. It just had a big run of energy. Let's let it bounce back, consolidate. But I think this Euro-Kiwi is the trade over the next 24 hours. So a breakdown below 166.20, 25 would be a clear signal to get short, or if it bounced up here to the 166.85 area, getting short up here as it runs into this resistance level. So Euro Kiwi is my favorite for the next 24 hours. The other one I want to take a look at is Pound Kiwi. Pound Kiwi also looking good, and I want to just show you that there is some major trend changes happening here. We had the support line, and we've had mostly sideways price action for the last month in Pound Kiwi, but we are clearly breaking down. The next level could be all the way down to this 192.50 area. That's a lot of room between where it is now. Got about 120 pips. So the big question is, when do you get short? Same thing here. If it bases and then drops, I want to get short. If it rallies up into this 194.10 area, I'd like to get short there as well. So it's not quite ready to trade yet, but I think in the next 6 hours, it is going to be a decent trade. I do have to say, I'm not super excited for trading over the next 24 hours. I think we spent a lot of energy today. I could easily see tomorrow being a consolidation rest day as the markets move down 2%, then up 2% in equities. So I'm not super excited about trading. Euro Kiwi is about the best trade I can find, and it's not even looking great. So I think the equity markets are looking stronger, and I think we're going to get more of a risk on sentiment, which is why I'm looking at the Kiwi crosses. If these markets continue to strengthen, that Kiwi is likely to get even stronger. Now the dollar and yen were looking great, and they look great. If we get a big run in equity markets, we are going to see the dollar and yen come off even more. I like them long term. I just don't like them short term on the long side. So I think you really got to lay off dollar and yen longs over the next 24 to 48 hours. And as always, pair up relative strength and weakness. Thanks for joining me. That is the currency recap.